How's it going, everybody? My name is Sean Millette, and in today's video I'm going to be talking about what goes on at a drill weekend. First of all, a drill weekend can be anywhere between, I would say, roughly 2 to 4 days. The reason that these drills will range anywhere between typically 2 to 4 days is because it's all unit dependent. Throughout each military fiscal year, units are required to send their soldiers to a certain amount of days of training each year. So therefore, units that have 3 to 4 day drills a lot more often might even get 1 to 2 months off a drill throughout the year, as opposed to a unit that only has 2-day drills every single month. Probably won't see that. Along with this, you are also required to attend a 2-week annual training, which usually lands in the summertime. These annual trainings are a really good opportunity to get a lot more done than a traditional drill weekend. From my experience, this is kind of the one chance a year that my unit gets to perform their jobs. This is also mainly because I live in Minnesota and you can't do much during the cold months. Another few things that are pretty common on drill weekends: mandatory briefings, presentations, slideshows, and even admin tasks. For those of you that don't know what admin tasks are, typically it's kind of like a checklist that your unit puts together for soldiers to know what they need to get done, and they can check it off as they accomplish those things throughout the weekend. A lot of these mandatory briefings and online trainings are required annually from each soldier, so it's pretty important that you get this done as soon as you're told to do it. Otherwise, you can't really beat around it too much. You're going to have to get it done at some point or another. At the end of most drill days, it's pretty common for your unit to release you around sometime between 1700 to 1800. It all depends. Usually it's after dinner chow. And at that time, soldiers can change into civilian clothing if they feel like it. They can shower, personal hygiene, maybe even get to sleep a couple extra hours early. And also sometimes, if your unit's lucky that night, you can get the green light, which means that your unit is allowed to drink. Something else soldiers can do for those that aren't 21 or don't feel like drinking or partying, they can go work out, improve on their physical fitness. The base that I go to has 2 weight rooms, as well as, I believe, 2 or 3 full court basketball courts that usually me and a couple buddies like to go play basketball at. Again, a lot of these things that I talk about is all unit to unit. I've even heard of some units sending soldiers home at the end of each duty day once they are released, and then having them come back the next morning. On top of that, some drill weekends look a little different. Our unit personally has one physical fitness test that we do a year, the ACFT. Usually we try to save that for the warmer months because in Minnesota, nobody wants to be doing a ACFT in negative 15-degree weather. On top of that, we also do our yearly rifle qualification, our individual weapons qual. Usually the individual weapons qualification can take up a couple months of your drill time because you have to get through all of the tables in order to even get to the actual qualification itself. So kind of like basic training, you have to do EST, validate on that, and there's a checklist of things. You have to go through weapons, PMI, just different stuff, getting familiar with the weapon systems, because when you're only at drill 2 to 3 days a month, which is really only like, I don't know, maybe like 20-30 days throughout the entire year minus the 2 weeks, it's easy to forget some things that you learn at drill sometimes. And since chow is for some reason always a topic of discussion because people want to know when they're going to eat, what they're going to get to eat, our unit typically does MREs for lunch. Your unit has to provide you with some sort of food. So if your unit has a cook, usually that could be another way. Breakfast and dinner are provided, as well as meal cards is something that we have access to, where we go to a dining facility and civilians cook food, kind of like at training. We also have the opportunity to spend our own money if we so desire. There's a Subway, a Taco John's, and a PX on our post. So if we don't like whatever food is given to us for that meal, usually it's pretty easy for us to just tell our sergeant, hey, I'd rather go have this. But keep in mind, you're spending your own money, so if you do that for every single meal, odds are you might be spending your entire drill paycheck on food. And also keep in mind that this is something you're only at 2 to 3 days out of the month, so don't go spending your entire drill paycheck at the PX trying to buy a bunch of super hua gear, especially when you're barely even going to be using it in the first place. I've seen some soldiers full kit and everything, plate carrier, brand new ACH, what else? Personal slings, stocks for their M4s. I mean, the list goes on and on of pretty much stuff you can buy with your own money, but again, you're only at drill for 2 to 3 days a month. I don't really see the need for it, but some soldiers, I guess, see it differently, and you know what? It's all personal opinion, and that's the beauty of it. I believe every drill weekend we've always ended on a Sunday, except for activations and annual trainings. Your unit can technically keep you around as long as they need, since you are getting paid for that full day of work. But if you do stay around long enough, I've heard that units have to provide you with some sort of dinner chow past a certain time. So most units don't really want you to stay around that long. It really just depends with your unit again, what time you get released. As long as everything gets done and checked off, I mean, you can pretty much wake up, clean the bays, clean the building, and get out of there. But otherwise, sometimes you might have to wait around a little longer, and you're not released till later in the afternoon. Units typically try to keep in mind that some soldiers have a little bit of a longer drive back home from drill weekends. So they do try and get you out of there at a decent time, so that way nobody's driving through the AM hours or who knows, any sort of crazy stuff. But yeah, guys, that's all I got for you today. Thank you for watching, and comment some more video ideas of what you'd like to see on the channel.